Hello everybody, welcome back to Screenstars, welcome to another PlayStation review. Today's review is for Rage 2, a game that was initially released on the PlayStation back in 2019 and was released by Bethesda and Avalanche Studios. Now this is a game that I've had in my library for a long time. I picked it up in a sale a while ago now, probably at least, I guess a year and a half ago, something like that. I just never ever got a chance to play the game. So I'm kind of going through my collection and having a look at what games I haven't really played or played that much, and certainly games that I haven't reviewed, to try and get some reviews up for these games for you guys. Now, in regards to Rage 2, I never played the original, or if I did, it was very briefly. I remember very little about the original Rage. I think it was fondly remembered by some, but nothing particularly special. And when this game came out, I remember it getting middling reviews at best, I suppose. Some people said it was a bit limited, but some people quite enjoyed the shooting mechanics in the game, all that kind of stuff. Well, what are my thoughts on the game? Well, for those of you that don't know, like I say, this is an open world first-person shooter with some driving involved as well. And in regards to the story, and as you know, I don't really like to spoil stories in games, but I'll give you a brief outline. The Authority, which is like the big bads, they're almost like a bit like the Borg, almost like augmented humans in some way. They've like been driven underground. They've stayed down there for a long time, consolidated their ranks, and they have left their base to do an attack on your base, which you are essentially the good guys. You're like the Rangers sort of thing. So there's this attack at the beginning of the game. You are then given your Ranger combat suit and then sent out into the world to gather alliances to fight back against the authorities. So that's a brief outline of the story here. Now, you know, the story is not really the big selling point in this game. In fact, it's, if I'm being honest, it's a little bit cliched, and I think that's a bit of an understatement. I think the game, rightly or wrongly here, went for a Borderlands tone almost in regards to how the game is presented. It's got stupidly over-the-top characters, really juvenile humour, and it's not really, certainly not for me in regards to like the dialogue of the story and a lot of the characters in the game. But it's not horrifically bad or anything, but it is certainly one of the weakest aspects of the game, I certainly found anyway. So if you're a big fan of the Borderlands games, and certainly the humour in the Borderlands games, you probably won't be too put off by the story and the characters here, but I found it a little bit juvenile myself. Right, so what do you do in this game then? Well, exactly this. You know, it's an open world game, so once the game opens up to you, which is about an hour into the game, I suppose, you are then given your own vehicle and you can head out into the world and explore it. Or will you're given some pointers of where you should possibly go. You need to go and, like I said, make these alliances with these people. And each person that you meet in regards to becoming an alliance sort of thing, they'll give you lots of different side missions. You'll get to these towns. You'll talk to people. They'll give you side missions. And there's a whole array of like missions to do on the map. They're not really short of anything to do. It's almost set out a little bit like a Far Cry game. You know, there are some bases for you to take over. There's some like arcs for you to take over, because not only do you have like weapons in this game, but you've also got your like almost like a super suit. It's like your ranger suit, and scattered throughout the map are these arcs, as they're called, usually guarded by bandits and things like that. And you've got to kind of take out the bandits, and then you unlock this arc, go in, inject your arm into this thing, and then it'll give you like an upgrade for your suit. And there's all sorts of different upgrades you can get for your super suit. Your things like Shatter, which is like a special move you've just seen there. You've got a grav jump, which allows you to jump higher and higher sort of thing. You've got a defibrillation, which allows you to bring yourself back alive if you're killed in combat. Something called Overdrive. You press left one, right one, and it kind of puts you in like a super mode. Dash, Barrier, they all kind of speak for themselves, and they're all start off fairly low level, but as the game progresses and you upgrade them, they get more and more powerful. So you almost become like, you know, a superhero Robocop almost. The weapons that you have in the game are all pretty nice. I have to say, while I'm not a big fan of first-person shooters, and I don't play an awful lot of them, I thought the shooting here was really, really good, really smooth, really responsive, and really cool at times. Some of the weapons were really, really fun to use, especially the shotgun. I really enjoyed the shotgun. But you've got your usual things here. You've got your pistols, assault rifles, shotguns. You've got like a rocket launcher. You've got cannons. Each one of these weapons are like individually upgradable so that you can make them more powerful. You can make it so that they reload faster or reload when you holster them. All this kind of stuff. You yourself, you can upgrade yourself. You can upgrade your suit as well to make everything more powerful. There's things called projects in the game, which are linked to the people that you align with, make allegiances with in the game. And these projects are essentially like buffs for your character, which will allow you to carry more ammo, increase throwables that you might have, like grenades, or you've got like a boomerang type thing, like a wing stick it's called. So you can increase how many of those you can carry and throw. You can increase your critical strikes. There's literally loads of different buffs that you can do, and these are all linked to the projects. It's open, like I said, it's open world, and even though you're given your vehicle at the beginning of the game, there's a huge amount of vehicles out in the open world that you can kind of get in and use. And if you drive that vehicle back to a town that you've already visited, it will then become unlockable in your menu, and you can drive it any time then and call it up. Which is really, really good. And some of them are really cool. You've got like monster trucks, some of them are like tanks, some of them are like racing, dust racers, all this kind of stuff. There's quite a few different vehicles, and out on the open world there's you can have racers, you can have you run into all sorts of people charging about in the open world that you can take out. And you'll run into, like, as I've said, bases with bandits in them that you can go in to get supplies, because you're going to need supplies, because you need supplies, like I've said, to upgrade everything in the game. So you're going to want to like raid these bases. You'll get supplies. As you get more powerful, it gets more and more fun to do this. The baddies that you're fighting against are reasonably varied. Most of the time it's like these type of enemies, like bandits, but you do get mutants and all this kind of stuff out in the world. There's like a game show type thing that you can go and join in, and if you get through, I think 3, 4 or 5 different levels, essentially waves of bad guys, you'll get some prizes at the end of it. It's almost like a game show type setting, but it's actually surprised me a little bit, this game. It's better than I expected it to be. It's very colourful. I think the graphics are certainly very, very good for a PlayStation 4 game. I've not had any real issues or problems with the game. The only issue I've got, this is PlayStation 4, but I've actually been playing it on my PlayStation 5, and the menu is quite unresponsive. When you go into the menu, there's a real pause when you're kind of using the left one and right one to flick in between the menu stuff. And I don't know if that's got to do, maybe it's not fully optimized for a PlayStation 5, or it doesn't work brilliantly on a PlayStation 5. But that's the only issue I can report if you're going to play it on a PlayStation 5. To be honest, it might do that as well on a PlayStation 4. Another thing to mention as well is it does have microtransactions, this game. You can buy something called Rage Coins, which will allow you mainly to buy weapons, skins, and more vehicles in the game. If that's your bag, that's what you want to do. The option's there. I genuinely don't see why you would want to do that, but the option is certainly there if you want to buy these Rage Coins and get different weapon skins and all this kind of stuff. You also get to choose, which I meant to say at the beginning, you get to choose between a male and female character right at the beginning of the game as well, which is nice. I don't really know how it affects the game, probably very, very little at all. So if you're looking for a fairly cheap, open world, first-person shooter, post-apocalyptic type first-person shooter, You could really do far worse than this. This is better than I thought it was going to be, and I suspect you'll be able to pick this up these days really, really cheaply. You'll get a good 20 to 30 hours out of this game easily in regards to the content, and it's fun. The shooting's great, very responsive, and definitely a game you'll probably get some enjoyment out. I think this is actually a solid 8 out of 10. So I hope you enjoyed this review, guys. Thank you very much for watching, and of course I'll be back with more content very, very soon.